So today's talk is going to be all about nutrition and nutrition for restaurants and what's relevant. My job today here for the next hour is to share with you not just the trends, but what we're seeing in brands all across the United States within those trends, so that hopefully after today you can take those out into your businesses and increase your sales. The bottom line in the restaurant business, as we know, is to make money and stay afloat. Secondary to that is, of course, give people what they want so you can make money and stay afloat. Without those things, we don't get to be here. We get to have fun in Texas, we get to enjoy ourselves, but we don't get to have a successful business without staying relevant and current on the topics and the trends. So let me give you a little bit of background, who I am, how I got to be here, that sort of thing. As I was introduced, and thank you for that kind introduction very much. My name is Betsy Craig. I am the CEO and founder of Menu Trinfo. So Menu Trinfo does nutritional information for restaurants. We also do allergy and gluten-free training. We go into kitchens and certify kitchens as being free from. We've now, through Kitchens with Confidence, which is the stuff on the right side, our newest company, that is all certifying products in kitchens as free from any of the big 8 allergens and gluten. And we just started that as of the first of this year with Cornell University was our launch. So go big or go home. We started with Cornell. We're really, really pleased with what's happening in that space. So I will tell you that many brands that we get to work with are interested in what's happening, what's new, what's exciting. What's our LTO going to be this quarter? Who in the room does LTOs, limited time offers? Anybody doing those on a monthly basis, weekly basis, regular basis? Okay. I do know that we have some folks that have a cooking school in the room and catering folks and do special dietary needs as far as that goes. So I know you're always trying to find relevant, new information. Okay, who knows this? Does this sound familiar to anybody? I'm gluten-free. My son's a vegetarian. My husband's avoiding artificial colors and flavors, and we're sensitive to MSG and sulfites. What can we eat? What can they eat? What would you tell them?
We basically are in the business of making sure writers get paid.
Kale. Oh, we got a kale. We got a kale. Anybody over here have something?
Our partnership with the NRA, with the
Yes, ma'am.
Because we're all
A baked potato. You know what? That is a super good go-to. Unless complex carbs aren't your thing. But that they didn't touch it. They didn't touch it. Right on. That's awesome. So who has customers that come in with these kind of restrictions? Anybody? All of you. Now, how do we make this be a win with today's trends? That's our job today.
Point, yes, we might disagree on some issues, but in the
so what is the hottest food trend that you would say in your establishment today, ma'am?
Together and talk about some of these collaborative efforts.
Prime rib on Fridays. That's your go-to. How long have you been doing prime rib on Fridays?
So
over 10 years, and it's a success. And you're here in Texas with a good old baked potato right next to it, isn't it? Mashed potatoes. Okay, okay. A successful trend. Is this a whole brand here? You all kind of came in as a pack, yeah? Okay, good. Awesome. What's your go-to hottest trend you've got going right now? Any particular menu item?
By our songwriters, publisher members, and that's who.
Brussels sprouts. Oh, are we grilling and putting those little olive oil and yeah, roasting Brussels sprouts? That is so hot right now. It's not even funny. Awesome, awesome. Okay, well, what you can see in front of you, and it's kind of hard to read, and I apologize. I will tell you this list has been repeated a million times. This is the top trends for 2017. Let's go in to make it a little bit more exciting. We've seen cuts of meats change. Who knows some of the new cuts of meats we got going on this year? Special cuts of meats. Never heard of them before. Only in the last year. Pork belly? Yeah, where did that come from? We're eating pork belly. We are eating pork belly too, I'll tell you what. Any kind of beef. Anybody know this cut? This is tri-tip. This is tri-tip steak. Then we've got skirt steaks. I thought skirt was something I wore. Turns out it's something I eat now. It's skirt steak. I see it everywhere. So it is definitely different cuts of meats, calling it different. I just saw something about hanger. I thought that's where you kept your airplane. Turns out it's also something you eat. So those are pretty hot new cuts of meat. Another cut of meat we're seeing a lot, and that's pork on the skewers on the far right side. So don't worry, we're not up to the sheet yet. I'll get there. So the skewers, the idea of being able to eat with your hands is a hot, hot trend. Now, it hasn't been a hot trend for 2-year-olds for generations. 2-year-olds will take anything up with their fingers and stuff it in their face. And I will too if it's bread anywhere near my table and you give me olive oil. But we love to eat with our hands. We're tactile human beings. And what's happening is we're seeing skewers come everywhere in the industry. Does anybody know the trend that's driving the skewers? I'll jump to the next one, street food. This has a lot to do with why we're seeing so many skewers all around. People want to touch their food. They want to hold it. They want to enjoy it. And that's part of the enjoyment. The first thing you're seeing, this is a chicken in a waffle cone. Simple chicken waffle cone, little piece of paper. How much does food cost on that? Not much. And you're serving it in a little piece of paper. The person carries it out the front door. It's a wonderful catering item. You use ice cream holders to stick it into a thing on a buffet. Simple, simple stuff. Waffles, waffles, waffles. Anybody in the room serve waffles right now? Super easy. Yep, couple. Good. This is a dessert item, waffle on a stick. Again, we got it on a stick. Now I've got street food skewers. This is a simple Pinterest steal. So go on Pinterest, do a Google search for street food, and that picture will come up. It's 9 different recipes for street food that you can make yourself. In the top right, it's kind of hard to see in this room because it's bright. Those are ears of corn. How inexpensive food cost-wise is an ear of corn seasoned the right way? Boom, you got to win. It's like those Brussels sprouts. Whoever thought we'd be spending so little money on Brussels sprouts and getting such a great yield? You season them up, cook them right, and bam, it's a win. It's totally a win. I was in a restaurant here, Richardson's, somewhere here in Texas, 2 nights ago, and I was there with my cousin, and she was like, the one thing she said we have got to have was the Brussels sprouts. And they were off the hook. They were so good. They were seasoned properly, cooked properly, but they were Brussels sprouts. We are eating green like we never ate green ever before. And then you see the picture of somebody using a shrimp bowl, but it's a grab, it's pick up. It's almost like convenience of a cup. And now I got a stick. Again, let me use my hands. I'm a happy girl. I love it when I can hold it and eat it all at once, too. That's what we do. And then finally, one of my personal favorites, a lobster roll. I never met a lobster roll I didn't love. And I must tell you, I don't actually care how much you're going to charge me for that lobster roll. I've paid insane amounts of money for lobster rolls across the country. I don't care. I live in Colorado. We have snow, mountains, and pot. We don't have lobster rolls. Somebody needs to make lobster rolls next to a marijuana dispensary, like the Girl Scouts did with the cookies, you know. They're very smart women, very smart young ladies. But lobster rolls are just rock star good stuff. Who doesn't like comfort food? So now we're going to move on to sausage and cheese, and this is just hot, hot stuff this year. Condiments, make your own condiments. Anybody seen beet ketchup? I mean, I'm like, really? When did we think beets made ketchup? Okay, it does. Okay, people like it. I tried it in New York. A gal named Chloe is a very famous chef there, and she makes it. Comes in a big, huge dispenser. I'm like, all right, I'm eating beet ketchup. Cool. I'll eat it. And how many different ways can we mess with mayonnaise? I'm serious. We did Chipotle mayonnaise. Now we got 92 different ways to mess with mayonnaise. But if you can take a condiment like mayonnaise, flavor it up, and make it attractive, you're selling the sizzle, not the steak. You're selling the excitement. Me and my cousin went to Richardson's, dropped $200 on dinner, just the two of us. Yeah, I can eat. And there, everything was sizzle. And she couldn't wait to eat the sprouts, you know? So that's what we're selling as an industry. Now, how are we selling that and getting it right for the trends? That's where the mayos, the different flavors of mayos come in, the condiments. You can see up here on the top right, they're doing a board with cheese and meats and honey. Bottom line, charging $25, $30 for that board, your food cost on that can be under $5, $6. Depends on the cheese. If you go crazy cheese, you're at 10-ish. But still, you're charging $25, $30 on that. And people will come there just to eat that. Thank goodness the times are going away where people show up to just eat that and have a beverage and leave and take a 4-top with 2 people. It's getting a little better. The industry's seeing a pickup on that. Anybody in the room make pickles on their own? There's a lot of those New York delis where you walk in, you sit down, you get a bowl of pickles. Takes me back, I grew up in upstate New York, and takes me back to my childhood to sit there and chomp on dill pickles. And we're seeing that come back as far as one of the trends this year. This is a picture of seafood being harvested in China. Not really the seafood you want to serve. Sustainable seafood is what's the trend this year. And then finally, I want to touch on authentic cuisines as far as breakfast goes, and true authentic cuisines. Whether it's the tacos in the bottom left, sorry I crushed it with my little yolk, Mexican grilled corn, or from Finland on the right, which is a sausage and chorizo breakfast over the rice. It's like, okay. We're seeing more and more interesting ethnic trends come when it comes to breakfast. People are liking their food spiced up. And in the top left, you're seeing a really neat breakfast item. I just learned this when I was getting ready for this show. There's a new term out there, and it's called yolk porn. I'm like, are you kidding? Who makes this stuff up? I don't make this stuff up. It's on there. The idea is throw an egg on anything. Okay? How many people have seen a burger place that now has an egg on it? Like, when did breakfast and lunch? Is this what McDonald's did to us when they took breakfast to lunch? I don't know. But it's amazing to see eggs on, like, everything on the top. Sunny side up. A whole different meaning to sunny side up. So, a little bit about what are our top 10. So, Menu Trinfo, the company I founded in 2010, I founded the company based on my own health and nutrition path. In 2004, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that was supposed to kill me. It's called scleroderma. It didn't kill me. I was given 12 to 18 months to live. I changed everything about my diet, my lifestyle, everything. I took all chemicals out of my body. I stopped smoking 2 packs of Marlboro Reds a day. That was huge. Yes. Woo-hoo. You know, it's been 13 years. I was talking to my daughter this morning about that. But what I realized was what I was putting into my body was killing me, and that food was health care, and medicine is sick care. And the doctors did what they did to keep me going. I'm absolutely a product of that. But nutrition is the massive reason I didn't die. Honest to God. And so from there, in 2010, my husband and I started this menu labeling company all around nutrition for industry. And we started it so that we would have a ripple effect, so that I could help an amusement park company that you might know of that's based on our coast. I could help them make their kids' meals with a little check mark next to it so that the kids ate better and everything in those meals was healthy to their regulations. And I could make that impact there, and the ripple from feeding kids differently at 7 years old, I would trust in my gut. And that's what started happening for Menu Trinfo back in 2010, 2011, 2012, 13. From there, we started working with those restaurant brands I showed you earlier. So what I'm about to share with you is the top trends that we're seeing from the restaurant space. The people that have to take the good idea that you might hear at a show. One of these vendors introduces you to a new item you haven't tasted yet, like Brussels sprouts 2 years ago. We're all like, ooh, they smell. Now we're like, can't get enough of them. The idea is how to take that and make it your LTO. Not just your LTO, but make it your LTO that rocks it so big and so hard that people come back and you never dream of pulling it back off the menu. So let's look at the top 10, and now we're to your worksheet. And the first we see all the time is paleo. We see constantly getting asked about paleo. Number 2, we're going to talk about what fat-friendly means, what the nutrition impact is of fat-friendly. I'm barely going to touch on it. It's why I give you a sheet. If you have further questions, hit me up on my email, call the office, I'll connect you with the gals, and we'll get you taken care of. But we're just going to touch on a few things here today and give you a good taste, if you will, of what the trends are that we're seeing that people are actually putting into motion in your restaurants. Number 3, farm. An example is natural versus organic. I've seen 3 different farm booths already, and I barely got here an hour ago. And it's just the hot stuff. Whether we're growing the herbs in the restaurant, whether we're buying from the local farmer, it's hot, hot, hot stuff. People want to know not only what kind of food it is, but who grew it, what the farmer's name is, what the farmer fed my cow. Were they nice to my cow? Did they take my cow out for a movie and a night on the town? I mean, that's what we want to know. You know, that's what we want to know. Vegan, vegetarian, of course. Eating clean. What's clean? I have a rant on that. We'll see where we go on that one. Gluten-free. Everybody said in 2010 and 11 when I started public speaking about menu labeling and nutrition and allergens, gluten-free is a fad. It's not going anywhere. Bowl, it's still here. It's not going anywhere. Back then they meant it's not going anywhere, meaning nobody was going to do it. Now it's here. Welcome, it's staying. It's not moving. I'll share why. Alternative carbs. We have a lot of people looking for alternative carbs. We went no carbs, low carbs. Now we want alternative carbs. I don't know what carbs ever did to upset our industry, but we're always picking on carbs, I think. Number 8, Mediterranean. Holy cow. I could not live without Zoe's Kitchen. Let me just say that there. I mean, you want to talk like quick, easy, Mediterranean, wholesome food. I'm enjoying it. Number 9, allergies and sensitivities. So paying attention to that, I go back to that disclaimer language. Make sure you have disclaimers. If you take nothing away today other than that, that's your winning ticket. Okay, and organic. Let's go on. Paleo. What's paleo? Anybody have paleo items on their menu? You do, but you don't know it. So a paleo diet is heavy in fish, meat, eggs, protein. Heavy, heavy, heavy in protein. All right? We're going to be really, really strong in protein and go away from anything white. We're going to stay away from flours and grains and milks and dairy products, cheese, on the lighter side of the house. That's a basic paleo diet. You don't even know you have it. If you look at a good gluten-free menu with a nice protein and maybe give me some of those Brussels sprouts because that's a great gluten-free side, throw on a, you could do a potato, although you still have some of the starches, but they could eat it. It's not going to be the thing they'd eat the most of on a paleo diet, but they can eat a small portion. The other thing, too, if you take a look here, paleo is so strong now in our industry, we're starting to see things labeled as paleo-free. The whole idea with paleo is it needs to have no sugar. It was interesting, anybody heard of Whole30? So Whole30 is a diet. I had somebody staying in my house that was eating Whole30, and we went out and we looked for Whole30 products. She wanted bacon. We were going to have a Sunday morning brunch. I'm like, let's go. I know you can eat eggs. Let's go get some bacon. I can try to cook for you. And we went to the store, and on every package of bacon, with the exception of the one marked Whole30, there was something in the ingredient listing that included sugar. Now, it didn't always say sugar. There's a million names for sugar, but it was sugar. So Whole30 bacon or paleo bacon, it's all the same. Good deal. How to accommodate a paleo diner? Vegetables, fresh vegetables. If you have a gluten-free menu, it's probably pretty close to already paleo. Animal fat is allowed on paleo. This is what's interesting, talking about the fats. Cooking oil. You can use tons of cooking oil when it comes to paleo. You want to use the cooking oil that's more along the lines of the olive oils and the flaxseed oils, those kind of oils. Animal fats, I told you, is allowed. Avoid sugar, avoid processed ingredients. When I got sick, I looked at labels, and if I couldn't pronounce it, I didn't eat it. If you can't read it, you don't eat it, and it's amazing. Just that simple rule changes the way you feel, totally. Number 2, we're going to fat-friendly. Fat-free is not the enemy. This was such good news to me. I'm like, okay, I can get behind fat's not my enemy. I'm like, you're right on, because I love my eggs. I eat eggs every single day of my life. They're one of my great sources of protein. I do know they have all those good fats in there, but fat being the enemy, butter being bad, all of a sudden we're eating margarine, which don't even get me started. That's a 5-minute rant just right there. I'd much rather take butter than a margarine, much rather. So fat is not the enemy. This is so interesting. Who here drinks coconut water, coconut anything? Coconut, you messing with coconut oil? We're using it in our hair. We're cooking with it. It's going to make my protein shake. I mean, it's amazing what we do with coconut oil. And what's interesting is there's a huge hot mess going on about coconut oil. It started 2 weeks ago with an expose coming out on USA Today. And they're saying coconut oil is like the worst thing that we ever had. And I don't know if people dream this stuff up to sell more product SKUs in a warehouse, or if they're just trying to get you to throw stuff out in your pantry that you've had for 6 months so they can replace it with something, or if it's true. I'm waiting to learn some of the science, but some of the science behind what they're slamming about coconut oil is really interesting. We'll see where it goes. I'm calling it the coconut that's the word. I can't say it. Conundrum. There we go. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's go natural versus organic. So when we look at natural, what is natural? What is organic? So the USDA right now has a logo they're letting people use if you meet certain criteria. And I'll get to the criteria in the next slide. But what is organic? If you want to know, organic is pesticide and chemical free when they are the negative pesticides and chemicals. You cannot grow a product, you cannot grow farm-produced food in the fields without helping to get rid of the bugs that are going to eat it and make you sicker. But there's certain pesticides that are healthier for you and certain that are not. And that's where the organic side comes from. There's naturally occurring. And so that's what we're left with, is which ones fall within the rules of the USDA. We're actually kind of lucky as an industry. It's one area the USDA did step up and give some pretty reasonable guidelines. So in order to obtain an organic certification, the company has to provide information and meet the standards of the USDA on all of these different areas. Fertilization, on what seeds you're using, on how you're rotating your crops, and feed and grazing, and pests and weeds and disease control. All those different requirements, all those different areas are required to provide information to USDA if asked, and the USDA gives us those benchmarks as to whether or not something can be considered organic. Now, we've got a whole nother thing going on with natural. Natural is fairly new. The idea of calling something natural, we've been doing it for decades, but really pushing it the last couple years, and people are slapping the word natural on all kinds of stuff. And it's getting some pretty good pushback in the press, and it's pretty good pushback on social media when somebody's putting natural on something that you and I both know is not natural. So right now, because of the lawsuits over products being called natural, the FDA right now has a comment period on what you consider as natural or you consider as natural. Because the FDA, a lot of times the FDA is trying to figure out where to set the benchmark. And they're looking for industry to help them set the benchmark. I can guarantee you that's true. If they're coming to me to ask for the benchmark on allergies or menu labeling, they need your help on natural. So if you have a dog in this fight, an opinion, please go ahead and jump on the FDA's website. Just put the word natural in the search bar on the top right, or natural comments about natural, and go ahead and put your 2 cents in there, please. Organic is pretty well, like I said, pretty well dialed in, pretty simple stuff. As far as it goes. The only certification for USDA organic is from the USDA. And you cannot use it without jumping through their hoops. So keep that in mind. And I can't make the whole thing about organic or about natural. I got to keep going. But if you want more history on that, or if this is your sweet spot, let me know. Hit me up on an email. If I can't answer, I'll throw you over to some of the nutrition gals and we'll get you taken care of. Okay, vegan, vegetarian. Everybody knows vegan, correct? Everybody knows vegetarian? Well, we definitely have those additional vegetarian areas. We have the vegetarians that will do eggs but no other animal products. Those are vegetarians. Lacto-vegetarians does some dairy. Think about lactic acid, lactite. all of that. That's where the dairy's coming from. Pescatarians, one of my best friends in the world is a pescatarian. She's a vegetarian, but she'll eat fish. That's a pescatarian. It makes it a little easier when we go out. I get to go to my Italian places. She's happy. But accommodating a vegetarian diet. If I were to give you one clue on this slide, it's going to be this piece of cheese in the bottom right-hand side. When it comes to vegetarians and cheese, if they will eat cheese, okay, they're not vegan, just straight vegetarian, it means they're going to eat cheese. You have to be careful on the cheese because cheese sometimes can be derived from animal protein, especially when it comes to how they're aging the cheese. So you want to find that out from wherever you're buying your cheese, whether it's one of the broadline distributors, that sort of thing. The other thing, too, is you can simply put a V on your menu next to your vegan items or next to your vegetarian items. But if you're going to stick a letter on your menu, make sure there's a key at the bottom. Simple things. Accommodating a vegan diner. Veganism, you take away everything that has to do with animal products. That's honey, they come from bees. Gelatin, eggs, dairy, all of that is not vegan. All of that has to go to be vegan. I can't even tell you how many menus we see from our clients who want to offer a vegan item, and they tell us all the cool items they have in mind. Hey, you could do this, this, or this for veganism. And it's like, okay, every single one is not vegan. And people don't mean to do that, but they do it all the time. So if you're not sure, ask, get professional help, call a dietitian, something along the lines. Don't just put the V on there unless you're sure. Okay, we'll jump into clean eating. Who's heard of clean eating? A couple? Yeah, okay. Half the hands. Anybody seen this? This is the no-no list from Panera. I will let you know. Let me segue for a second. Panera Bread has done some amazingly awesome rock star stuff in our industry. They were one of the first to come out with menu labeling way before anyone else. They said, we're just going to put the numbers up there. We know some are shocking. We know some are wonderful. We're going to provide the information to our people. We're feeding America. I mean, that mentality has been leading a lot of our industry on things like that. It's really hard to do menu labeling, and good for them. And they had some gotchas. They definitely had some surprises. They're also trying to lead the industry on the no-no list. The no-no list is everything that you or I would consider dirty. And it's interesting because how do we call it dirty? Well, it's the processed foods. It's looking at the ingredient list. It's having an ingredient list that reads like 4 paragraphs from the book Moby Dick. I mean, like, seriously. Like, it's longer than you and I could ever imagine. How do you get all those words on there? I remember the first bar company that I ever saw that had an ingredient list where I physically could read and pronounce every item, and that was Kind bars. And I still eat them. It's what I eat every morning for breakfast after I do my protein drink. I do 2 things every morning because I want to be able to read every single thing. And that has a lot to do with clean. We've just started doing, as a company, we've just started doing certifying clean menus and using a red, yellow, green stoplight symbol, meaning clean, not clean, and then some that are sort of right on the edge. We have some preservatives that we have to have in our food or our food won't stay shelf stable. So we can't have food that's trashed out after 2 days, you know, but we also don't need food that can sit on a shelf for 3 years. And we see those experiments come up in social media all the time. I took a cake from the grocery store in my town 3 years ago when the Broncos won the Super Bowl, and I put it way high up on this area in my kitchen. I took it down 2 years later. I swear it looked like the cake could still have been eaten. It was absolutely gross and disgusting. I had to try it. I just had to try the experiment. The little Bronco head was a little smeared, but other than that, the cake was still intact. 2 years up on this pass-through between one room to the other. My husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I just got to see. Just don't pay any attention. Leave it up there. We did the Christmas decorations around it. So that's not clean. The stuff inside there is not clean to keep that managed, to keep that in one unit of a 2-layer cake. But we go ahead and we eat it. So food service is catching on. We're seeing more and more large brands going, we got to go clean. We got to take additives out. When Panera came out and said no more antibiotics in our chicken, people are doing the exact same thing. We see Subway's got a huge push by the end of this year, before 2018, to have only clean products. More and more folks, General Mills, huge food company, going ahead taking additives and ingredients out of their products. I was talking before I began about software and identifying what is or isn't in our food, whether it's for menu labeling or food allergens. These companies, especially people like General Mills, are reformulating their recipes so that the food is cleaner and healthier for you. Well, that's wonderful. It presents a whole different challenge. If you have a software you're trying to maintain, you're going to need to re-up it and make sure the ingredients are still the same, especially when it comes to allergies. Let's talk gluten-free. I'm not really sure why we have a big picture of bread when we're talking gluten-free, but okay, let's assume it's gluten-free bread. Maybe Canyon City Canyon City Bake in Loveland, Colorado. They do a wonderful, wonderful job. What's gluten? Gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, rye, and crossbreads. It's interesting because gluten-free is not just for people with celiac disease. Who in the room knows somebody's eating gluten-free? Okay. Who in the room provides gluten-free food? Good. The gluten-free food, as I started with the paleo is a great, gluten-free food's a great option for paleo, but those that are eating gluten-free are doing it for one of three different reasons. Well, technically four. But the first is they might have celiac disease, and that's a whole talk in 2 hours. I start in an hour and a half on that talk. Come see me on that one in a different room at 1:30. Gluten intolerance. There are people that eat gluten and get what they call wheat belly, they feel bloated. A lot of people are thinking that we're getting bloated from the wheat. And then third is there are people with a wheat allergy. And if you take the population of people with celiac disease, intolerance, and a wheat allergy, it equals to almost 10% of the population. So that's 1 in 10 people. I will tell you that people with the second and the third, an intolerance or a wheat allergy, they would much rather walk in and say, do you have a gluten-free menu, than to walk in and have a conversation with the server about why, if what you give them may put them in the bathroom for the next 3 days. Like, they really don't want you to know their bowel habits. They just want something clean and easy to eat. And that's why that gluten-free trend is not going away. Because you've got all those different requirements for eating gluten-free, and you're seeing it more and more and more. It's pretty amazing to watch happen in our country with this idea that it's just a hot trend, and now it's still through the roof. So gluten-free has been defined by the government. We're not sure if that's helpful or not, but I won't get all political, just say they defined it. And they believe this is the language they came out with. Originally, we thought the FDA was going to say if you serve gluten-free in your restaurant, you need to make sure it's certified or approved gluten-free. They didn't. What they came out and said was that we encourage the restaurant industry to move quickly and ensure the use of gluten-free labeling is consistent. Basically, they want restaurants to be consistent with the packaging, but there's no mandate behind that. There's no teeth behind their request. Right now, it's a nice, pretty cocktail party conversation. There's nothing, no oomph to it. The agency and enforcement, they say we will consider enforcement action and as needed alone or with other agencies. So no enforcement, no teeth. If you put gluten-free on there, though, I encourage you to make sure it is. Either use a dietitian, use the service, make sure you've got it covered. All the way down, I'll give you a good tip. Blue cheese. Everybody uses blue cheese in a restaurant if you've got salads, especially if you have a wedge salad. Half of the blue cheese in the U.S. is not gluten-free. It's used with bread spores to make the mold. So you can either use chemicals to make the bread spores, or you can use bread to make the blue cheese. And you need to find out, if you're using blue cheese in your restaurant, where that blue is coming from. And then if you don't know, change it out or take it off a gluten-free menu. Another great example, good, I still have time. I went to Denver to do a certified gluten-free inspection on a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant. And Mexican restaurants are awesome for gluten-free, totally manageable, totally can do it. They had an entire menu, like the size of my arm, of gluten-free offerings. Every single one came with their rice. Their rice was made in the back of the house. So I'm like, okay, this is great. Let's go see how you're making your rice. So I go in the back. They show me the big, huge stock pot of water. This is how we make our rice. I'm like, okay, go ahead, make rice. So they make it, water, and then the guy grabs some chicken stock and throws chicken stock in there, chicken base. And I'm like, can I see that? The third ingredient on the label for the chicken base was barley. So every item on his big long list of gluten-free contained gluten because barley is gluten. And he didn't know. And we don't know what we don't know as chefs, and we don't know what we don't know as restaurant owners. So just be mindful that every item has to get checked when you're making these menus up. Okay, has anybody seen this? Does anybody know what it is?
It on the music
Ma'am?
use at the restaurant.
So it puts your food in it and tells you the allergens. That's really close. It's really close. Not 100%. That's coming though. That's the same company. This is just a gluten detector. What this does is you can go ahead and test your food table side and find out if it contains gluten. These cost $159, and people with celiac disease are buying them like crazy. Okay? Here's the challenge. It gives false positives. So items that were approved by the GIG, Gluten Intolerance Group, that say, hey, guess what, this is totally gluten-free, are not gluten-free at all. Or they are gluten-free, but there's a false positive on this device. So heads up, folks. You can see it's got a little smiley if it's gluten-free on the left side and a little frown face if it's got gluten in it on the right. So it's called a NIMA, N-I-M-A. It came out of Boston. It got great, huge financing about 9 months ago from a big investor. So I'm seeing this pop up now. It might be I'm seeing it pop up on my Facebook feed because I'm a freak about this stuff and I'm always Googling it. But it's out there, and you're going to see it more and more and more, just released in the last 3 months. So those are NEMA devices. Heads up on that. Alternative carbs. Does anybody know what I mean when I'm talking about alternative carbs? Okay. Alternative carbs speak to a number of different things. They speak to people that want to eat spaghetti sauce but don't want the pasta. They speak to somebody who wants to sit and eat chips while watching a baseball game, like me yesterday watching Texas Rangers at 128,000 degrees as I sat there and melted. But I don't want to just stuff my face with potato chips. So these are alternate ideas for restaurateurs to handle the paleo diets and the special diets we're seeing, and that's the alternate carb idea. The first one you're seeing there is kale chips versus potato chips, and next you're seeing the lettuce wrap. Oh, who's the first sub shop you ever saw go with a lettuce wrap? Anybody seen it? Very, very popular sub shop. Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's was the first one to come out with a lettuce wrap. Now you know what they've got? They've got a poster on their wall that tells you how to eat a lettuce wrap. Now, they're the first one. They beat Subway out of the gate with it. But they're the first one to come out with this whole thing wrapped in lettuce. So I can get all the meat and veggies I want wrapped in a big piece of lettuce. But they also have to use craft paper to hold it all together. And that has caused a challenge because people pull it out like they're going to eat a sub. The American people and American public needs education all the way through on how to eat your lettuce wrap. And in this case, now Jimmy John's has a poster on how to eat your lettuce wrap. But think about it from a restaurateur standpoint. To throw a hamburger on a bed of lettuce or wrap it with lettuce versus a bun, the gluten-free diner's going to be happier. The paleo diner's going to be happier. Didn't make your food costs go through the roof. It actually made your food costs go down because you're not buying the bun. You know, so is it on your menu? It's a super easy one to put there. And then finally, we've got the whole idea of the pasta, replacing pasta, whether it's zucchini, whether it's squash, whether it's those sort of items that you just shred, and then you put the pasta over top. We've been doing it for decades with tofu. If I put tofu next to that projector, it's going to taste like the projector. Tofu tastes like anything you put next to it. Well, the idea is they don't want, that's just the delivery system. We always say, my husband works for Hewlett-Packard. He wrote our software for nutrition, and he always says the printer is just the needle. The drug is the ink. So that's, in this case, The spaghetti squash is just the vehicle. The drug is the sauce, especially if I make it, just saying. Okay, who are you calling ancient? Ancient grains. These are big stuff. We're going to see more and more of this, especially in the next year or two. This is a hot concept. It's behind the whole ethnic push we're seeing as a country. And ancient grains are kind of going through the roof. I personally don't know how to cook with them. I haven't cooked with them that much. I'm just seeing them show up on more and more LTOs. Like our straight up sandwich shops we work with, all of a sudden they're messing with grains. I'm like, where is this coming from? It's coming from the general public wanting something different, wanting something flavorful, but still remain healthy. As a country, the country is getting bigger, fatter, heavier. 2/3 of our population is overweight or obese. We're trying to do something as an industry to accommodate that. And a lot of people are trying to do it from corporate down, from the C-suite down. That's the whole idea behind the wheat belly. We watched everybody walk around with beer bellies for so many years. All the men, mainly, sorry to be sexist. Now we have women with the same beer bellies. And it's not because we're drinking that much beer. It has to do with the wheat.
People ask,
So,
what is a public performance?
all right, I'll get off my soapbox on that. We're talking about grains. Let me move on to Mediterranean diets, because Mediterranean diets are super hot and super exciting. We're seeing more and more brands. It's the number one space growing throughout the country in the fast casual industry. There's more Mediterranean concepts coming up and exploding than any other type of concept. That's even surpassing pizza, which is insane, because pizza's always been such the leader in that space. But has to do, again, with the healthy grains and the whole food and food you can pronounce and eating clean. It's so much simpler to go clean when you're eating a Mediterranean-based diet. And it's good for you. It's good and it is good for you. So seeing more and more of that accommodating people on Mediterranean diets for different reasons. So let's talk about allergies and sensitivities. I always say you can't swing a dead cat without hitting 2 people that are going to ask for a special accommodation. I'm actually about to change that to 3 people, because people are asking for accommodations. Every other ticket coming off your POS system has a red on it, and it's some kind of an alert. And it has to do with watching the increase of food allergies in the country. And I'm not going to go real deep on this, because I'm going to go real deep on this in an hour. But we are seeing 15 million Americans have food allergies, and 10 to 25% of Americans have some kind of food sensitivity. When you're looking at 10% of Americans with some kind of food sensitivity, 10 to 25%, that's 2.5 people out of every 10 people that come into your place are going to need an accommodation. Are you handling it, or is it owning you? I mean, you get to make the choice about that as restaurateurs. But simply saying, no, we can't accommodate is no longer an option, because you're losing huge chunks of business. So how are you accommodating? There's 2 different schools of thought when this happens. One is sensitivities, and the other is allergens. The huge difference, the column on the left won't kill you. The column on the right can kill you in 3 seconds. And that's the difference. Somebody with a food allergy can eat a particle from something they're allergic to, a protein they're allergic to, and go into anaphylactic shock and be dead before the 911 ambulance gets there. So knowing what to do is vital. The stuff on the left, again, been around for years. I could go on and on this. I always have trouble stopping myself, because this is really where my passion comes from. But I will tell you that people can be sensitive or allergic to just about anything. There are over 170 foods people can be allergic to. 170. We look at the top 8 in our country, there's 170 possible. That's a lot of foods they can be sick to. So accommodating diners with sensitivities and special dietary needs, it's mandated today. It's no longer optional. In certain parts of the country, training is mandated and more is happening. We have an entire state about to sign into law mandated training. Not in Texas, but an entire state. And then finally, I want to touch on non-GMOs. So non-GMOs, real quick, has to do with the GMO-free movement. The GMO-free movement is some little blonde kid saying, I'm not an experiment. We grow wheat faster, bigger, stronger, quicker. The bugs won't eat it, but we do. And that should cause somebody to go, oh, gee, that's a good point there, Bets. Thanks for sharing that one. We have to look at what we're doing to our food supply and what it's doing to us. Again, I don't necessarily have a dog at the fight politically standing in front of the room, but it's becoming a hotter and hotter and hotter issue, pulling GMOs out of things. People have been trying to pull GMOs out of food, especially the last 2-3 years, heavily. We're seeing products that are no longer available GMO-free and others that they're trying to make GMO-free. I'll give you a great example in the next slide, and that is, not the next slide, the one after that, no GMOs in sight. It's interesting, Hunt's is advertising absolutely no GMOs in any of their products, that they're trying to clean out all the fields and make everything GMO-free. When big manufacturers start doing that, it changes our industry. And then the consumers come in and asking for it, you know? I don't know if you remember Chipotle. I always talk about Chipotle. I do a lot of talking about them when I'm talking a food safety talk. But today I'm talking GMOs. They came out and said we're going GMO-free 100%. Bottom line, they couldn't. There was nowhere near enough corn in the U.S. to handle what they wanted to do. So they came out and said GMO-free, and then they started getting sued because they couldn't be GMO-free. So careful what you claim. Make sure you can do it. Right now, there's still that lawsuit going on that's pending. It's still in litigation about settling one current lawsuit with Chipotle on GMOs. GMO-free diners, you got to make sure if you want to provide something that's GMO-free, you're looking for this seal. This seal is the only seal that truly is GMO-free. All right, check manufacturers, pay attention to where the product is sourced, look at the ingredients, look at the labels, all of that.